Hello. Are we drinking yet? We are. Okay, I see that we're drinking, and this is not pandering. It's just so I can tell my doctor I wasn't drinking alone. That's what they always say, right? They're like, as long as you're just socially drinking, not drinking alone, which I find to be a challenging message as a modern woman, because I can go to dinner alone, right? Or go to the movies alone, right? It's empowering, it's feminist. But the minute I want to take myself back to my place, kill a bottle of wine and watch porn, it's a problem. It feels like a double standard, a little bit. I might be a little salty. Someone called me a functional alcoholic recently. I said, thank you. I think that's a weird compliment to put in front of an insult, right? We don't do that with any other bad habit. You never hear anyone say, functional overeater. Or functional smoker. Why drinking? I can clean my entire house in a blackout and pay my bills on time. Thank you. If I'm any kind of alcoholic, it's not a functional one. It's an exceptional one. Feel free to use that at the doctor's office. They love it when you make jokes. I'm also an geriatric millennial. That's what they call us, right? It's a little rude, If you're gonna call us geriatric millennial, at least make Botox covered with health insurance, And I overthink it. I'm like, what does it even mean? I shake my fist a lot, but I still have student loans. I'm angry and I don't know why. I'm a social justice warrior in the streets and problematic in the sheets. It's a roundabout way of saying I have some bad tattoos. Anybody else? We are the generation that did that, right? And what do you do when you get a bad tattoo a few years later? You just get a bigger, better tattoo over it, right? Yeah, I got a sweet cover-up on my back a few years ago. First thing someone said to me is, aren't you worried you're going to regret it the same way you regretted the first one? I'm like, listen, if you think of tattoos as something to regret, we're two different people. I don't regret the stupid fairy tattoo I got on my lower back in 2007. I regret 2007. That's an adult regret, okay? Funniest part of that joke is the cover-up is a witch with 2 cats, so see how I feel in 20 years. Another geriatric millennial thing about me, I got diagnosed with ADHD really late. That's what we're all adults finding out we have it, right? And I think it's good now that it's easier to get a diagnosis, you can get one on TikTok. There's a dance that comes along with it. If you're really good at the dance, you need the medication. That's how they... Of course, I did a lot of self-exploration to find out why it took so long to get the diagnosis, which is my upbringing. I'm Italian-American. If you don't know anything about us, we're very pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of people. But when I was a teenager, I was a goth kid. I know you're surprised by my upbeat personality and colorful clothing. But I would do things like dye my hair and put on black lipstick, and my grandfather would say, why are you doing that? And I would say, because I'm sad. And he would say, did you shit? Pop wasn't really wrong for that, honestly. But there's things you don't know, that you do because of ADHD. Everyone thinks it's just hard to concentrate, but there's other stuff too. I'm a skim reader. It means I try to read things too fast. I mix up the words or leave them out. It leads to a lot of miscommunication. One of my first jobs was in retail. A man came into the store and he had a shirt on. It said, I heart Roadhead. But what I saw in my brain was, I heart Radiohead. So he comes up to the counter. And I was like, oh, I like your shirt. He was like, really? I was like, well, I'm not a huge fan, but I'm a pretty big fan. It's important to read carefully, is the moral of that story. I was recently single. I started getting back on the dating apps again. There's a whole new world out there. A lot of people in open relationships. And I don't want to offend anybody here if there's a lot of swingers in the audience right now. I think it's fine if you're in an open relationship. However, I do think if you're in an open relationship and on a dating app, a little arrogant. It's like having a kid on purpose. And they keep changing the terminology. Like now it's called ethical non-monogamy. Have you heard this? Yeah, ethical non-monogamy. I thought that was very funny the first time I heard it. And the reason I thought it was funny is because I just think that ethical should go without saying, It would be like if you opened up your menu and there was something on there called edible pizza. It's like, is it a pizza or does it have a secret girlfriend? What's up with the pizza? Or like if you got onto your airplane and you were introduced to your non-suicidal flight captain. Yeah, I hope so. Feels like it should go without saying a little bit. Don't know why it needs to be in the job title, but sure, And my friend was like, well, Rachel, you just have to learn how to look for the green flags. And I'm like, green flags are only green flags until liars learn what they are. Okay, like, are we just like reading people's profiles on dating websites and believing them, Like if somebody says no drama, I'm like, for sure, they're definitely no drama. Like that's face value, 100%, And the thing is, like, you can spot a red flag person because they say green flag things, but it's like kind of out of context. This is an exaggerated example, but like imagine you go on a date, it's going okay, but then it turns left, okay? He starts trying to kill you, right? You're screaming your head off. Yes, boo to that. Screaming your head off, and then he says, I hear you. You know what the green flag is now on all the dating sites? They all say, don't swipe on me if you don't put your shopping cart away. That's the bar, putting your shopping cart away. I'm like, do what you're supposed to do? That's what it is. Also, you could put your shopping cart away and then go murder somebody, right? In fact, feels like kind of a murderer thing to do. Like, have we watched the Netflix documentaries? They're always like, oh, he was like always so helpful, getting things off the top shelf, very polite. I am trying to keep an open mind, though. I matched with a woman on Hinge, and she was like, what are your deal breakers? And I was like, well, I'm pretty inexperienced with women, probably a little too experienced with men. Kind of like a rescue dog. Trainable. But if you surprise me with physical affection, I might respond in violence. Trying to unlearn toxic behavior, okay? And I was like, what are your deal breakers? She's like, well, I'm happily married to a man. Plot twist, right? And she's like, it's also very important to me that you're attracted to him as well. And I was like, all right, well, it's 2024, send a pic. Let's see what we're working with, And I want to preface this by saying she was very attractive, so naturally he was mediocre. Law of averages, right? And look, I've already said, like, I don't care what you do with your life, but I just couldn't imagine having that much audacity, Like, not just, like, to ask someone to deal with my personal bullshit, but also that of my unfulfilling partner. Like, when I go into any new relationship, I know I'm bringing baggage I got from a man. But you're bringing the entire man. Okay, I'm Rachel Fogletto. Thank you.